Oh, you. Okay. We call the meeting to order and we thank you for your patience. I have a motion, need a motion to return to open session.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move that we reconvene in open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
And Madam Chair, I move that we adopt certification of closed session.
Whereas the Dinwiddie County School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dinwiddie County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. Jay Schneff, District 1.
I certify.
Betty Haney, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Sherilyn Merritt, District 5.
I certify.
Madam Chair, all certify.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have our friends from Sutherland will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. That was led with enthusiasm, which is wonderful. Are there any amendments to the agenda? None?
Okay, Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion does carry. Personnel list.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the personnel list as presented.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries. Student matters.
Madam Chair, for student number LT-12/23-1, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration and long-term suspend the
We
student.
need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries.
Madam Chair, for student number LT-12/23-2, I recommend that we accept the recommendation of the administration and also long-term suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration to long-term suspend LT-12-23-3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration and long-term suspend student number LT-12/23-4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation and long-term suspend student number LT 12-23-5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move that we honor the parents' request and release students number REL 12/23-1, number REL 120323/2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move that we honor the parents' request and release student number REL 1223/3.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries. We have the
Still one
one
more.
reentry.
Yeah.
Did I have that one?
Go back up to
What's the number?
R08.
0823-2.
Oh, I've got 23-2? Yeah. Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration and readmit student number R-08/2023-2.
Second.
There been a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And that motion carries as well.
Now Sutherland.
So at this time, we'll turn it over to Ms. Tucker, principal at Sutherland Elementary School, and she'll be bringing us some highlights.
I don't think I need this. Great evening, Dr. Weston and school board members. I am the proud principal of Sutherland Elementary School. I am grateful to do this hard work with my assistant principal, Mrs. Tammy Bartlett. So there are a lot of great things that are taking place at Sutherland, but one of our focus areas for content is science. And we want to show everyone how we've embraced our everything is science mindset. Our theme for the year is Ready, Set, Grow. We are ready to learn. We are setting every young person and staff member up to be successful, and we are growing the leaders of tomorrow. So at this time, I want to introduce Mrs. Caitlin Osborne, our 5th grade science teacher, and Mrs. Latia Pollard, our innovation specialist, and Sutherland scientist.
Oh my gosh.
They're so cute. Stole my hairstyle. I love it.
Hello, my name is Kaden. In science, we learned about space in our solar system. We were able to make posters and paper mache examples of our Earth, Moon, and Sun. Hello, my name is Nyla. In science, we've been learning about plants. We planted different plants in a hydroponic system that will allow us to examine the plant growth process as well as parts of the plant.
Hello, my name is Liberty. In science, we learned about force and motion. We explored speed and distance and even built skateboards to test this concept.
Hello, my name is Christian. Also, while learning about force and motion, we built roller coasters. This let us explore the concepts of kinetic and potential energy, as well as the effects of friction.
After, we were able to take what we had learned to build and teach first grade about force and motion.
Hello, my name is Sanaya. In science, we learned about sound. To practice this, we created pitch draws. This helped us explore what pitch and frequency is and how it affects sound.
Hello, my name is James. In science, we studied electricity. We talked about conductors, insulators, and open and closed circuits. We put our skills to the test by building circuits in class. My colleagues will now pass out circuit name tags we built for you.
That's cool.
They did that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank
How you
you.
did that. I love it.
Yes, thank you.
So cute. So cute.
Can go on my fridge.
Makes me happy.
Hello, my name is Kyla. My favorite thing about science is how the way plants grow and the way they start from a little seed and they grow to a huge, beautiful plant. My favorite part of science is learning about the solar system. My favorite part about science is learning about the weather.
My favorite.
Oh.
Just back it up a little bit.
Hello, my name is Kyla. My favorite thing about science is how the way plants grow and the way they start from a little seed and they grow to a huge, beautiful plant. My favorite part of science is learning about the solar system. My favorite part about science is learning about the weather.
My favorite part of science is all of the hands-on experiments that we can do as a class.
My favorite part about science is experiments. My favorite thing about science is waves. My favorite thing about science is learning about science.
My favorite thing to learn is learning about life. My favorite thing in science is the activities. My favorite thing in science is dressing up like scientists.
My favorite thing about science is animal and plant cells.
My favorite thing about science is the ocean because scientists still don't know much about it. Favorite science experiment was where there was little tiny magnet pieces on like a table piece. And then we use a little magnet. We don't really fully get them and we spin them around and making them dance.
Hey everyone, my name is Teardra. My favorite thing about science and teaching science is it gives you a creative mind. It allows you to think outside of the box. It helps you stretch your thinking to be able to ask questions like, what happens if I do this? Or why does this happen if I, X, Y, and Z? It's just very, interesting because you may never know the answer, but just, doing the experiments and taking the steps, creating that hypothesis so that you can find a solution to whatever it is that you're trying to solve. It's always, mind-blowing and just, it's amazing.
I love science because it's cool and fun and interesting. Without science, we wouldn't have had cars and technology and lights. If science didn't even exist, this world wouldn't even be right. And science has done so much stuff in the past. I mean, the person who invented all the stuff, they used science to make it. They used science to make these video games that everybody's playing now. They used science to make cars. They made cars, and when they made the cars, they needed science to know like the exact speed, the like different parts, and the engineers and stuff, and engines, and there's just so many stuff that we've invented with science. Science is wonderful. Science is like you don't know what's the answer, but you just go for it. You just go for it and try new things. If it's wrong, then you just try and try again, and then you end up with something wonderful. That's how all of this has been created. It's by science. People tried again and again. If they got it wrong, then they just tried again and again. But that's what science is. You just try and try again, and then you just make something so wonderful and beautiful. And that's why I love science. It's because it means all these wonderful things. And I'm so glad science is here because it's made a beautiful world of beautiful stuff. And that's why I love science.
So in case anybody couldn't tell, she really does love science. And that's just a few examples of what we're trying to instill in the kids every day and to give them that sense of wonder. And we wanted to thank you on behalf of Ms. Tucker, all the staff and students for having us today. And the kids have one more little surprise, an original song for you, Oh Chemistry.
Chemistry.
Oh, chemistry, you help us solve our mysteries. Motion, sound, and even light, what makes the day and then the night. Oh, chemistry, you help us solve our mysteries. We learn what plants need to grow, about the force that make things go. Oh, chemistry, you help us solve our mysteries. The planets and how they align, the sun's a gas, what makes it shine. Look through our halls and you can see, science is a part of everything. Oh, chemistry, we really do love science. Experiments are how we learn, STEAM projects help us confirm. Oh, chemistry, brings out the scientist in me.
Oh, so proud. Thank you guys. But in order to do this hard work that we do, I am able to serve alongside an amazing assistant principal. My teachers, where are they? If you're Sutherland staff, please stay in. And also my parents. It takes a village, and I am grateful to be blessed with some amazing students, staff, and families. So thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have a few more recognitions. First up, I would like to recognize none other than Miss Barbara Pittman. Miss Pittman, this is a certificate of recognition for participating as or serving as a delegate for the 2023 VSBA Delegate Assembly.
Thank you.
lastly, will the Run Club please come forward? And Ms. Drake, would you join them? And all the coaches as well. All right. Board, for the 23-24 school year, DCPS Family and Community Engagement continue their partnership with sports backers and Kids on the Move to receive grant funding to continue to implement and to support run clubs at our school. For the fall 2023, the following schools participated in run clubs. Dinwiddie Elementary School, led by coaches Ashley Andesco and Jennifer Singleton. Southside Elementary School, led by coaches David Martin and Kelly Jo Peppers, with Kimberly Salama as a volunteer. Sutherland Elementary School, led by coaches Tabitha Hayden, Tracy Hayes, Jennifer Ward, and parent Alex Formoska, as a volunteer. And Sunnyside, led by coach Anthony Jones. You can give them a round of applause. Sutherland also had parent and school volunteers as well. Each club practiced once a week for 10 weeks in preparation for their race. Each club also created their own team names, such as Southside Stingers, DES Souls on Fire, Sutherland Incredibles, and Sunnyside Mustangs. This year, for the first time ever, the fall race, in which our clubs usually participate, was replaced with the CarMax Tacky Light Runs Tour via the Twilight 1 Miler. On Saturday, December 9th at 3:30 p.m., there was over 40 students and their families that attended and participated in this race. Students and many of their parents, companion runners, they all participated in this Christmas-themed 1 mile fun trail run in Midlothian. Special thanks to sports backers, Kids on the Move, RVA, our coaches and parent volunteers, Mrs. Brenda Austin, Mrs. Nicole Betcher, and DCPS Transportation Department, Mrs. Marion Elder, our DCPS families, and other supporters. Ms. Drake also wanted me to let you guys know to stay tuned for spring 2024 run clubs and other participation, because they will be participating again in the UCrops Monument 10K mini race. Wow. Here are just a few photo highlights of their race. Bonnie. All right, great job to our run club. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dr. Wester, I'll turn it over to you. All right.
We usually pause to allow students and/or teachers and parents to get their students home, but I would like to give the board a chance to make remarks before you exit. So I'll start down here, Ms. Merritt.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the Sutherland Elementary School. I have to say, I was very impressed. I was thinking that I think I've cried maybe 24 times out of my 12 years for school students for various reasons. But today I can tell you that you all have put a smile from one ear to the other, because It was very well organized, it was planned, I mean, it was wonderful. And I thank you because I love science too. And I appreciate knowing what you all like about science as well. And to the Run Club, thank you, thank you, thank you, congratulations, I'm proud of you. And I thank the parents and the leaders of the Run Club for what they do. Thank you so much.
Good evening to each of you. I am just so happy. I love to see our students perform because the students in Dinwiddie are the best. So that's why I'm so happy to see them. And Sutherland, you just showed it this afternoon. And we're just so proud of the teachers, staff, and everybody who played a part in it. And you know what? I am so happy to know that you're studying science. And your principal, teachers, moms and dads, and everybody want you to become scientists. And I'm right on the wagon with them. Thank you so much, teachers and everybody from Sutherland. And the Run team, I need to be with you, but thank you. But thank you for what you do. I appreciate it. And while you're here, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season.
Thank you to the Sutherland scientists. We really appreciate it. And thank you for our name tags, the complete circuit. We appreciate that. And to the Run Club, that's a big undertaking to take a bunch of kids to Richmond and run in a big race. And it's exciting. And we thank you for the adults who made that happen.
Yes, thank you to the Sutherland Scotties. Y'all were amazing scientists. I am just so impressed. Even the little guys are amazing scientists. He can jingle his bells really well. Y'all did a great job. No, it is wonderful to see so much love for science that these kids have expressed. And we really, really are happy to see that. The Run Club, yes, I think it's amazing. And I know y'all have been running at Sutherland continuously. So I think that's great. And how y'all go, it'll be interesting to watch y'all go up to Richmond for the U-Crops 10K.
That's a big one.
Yes. Y'all have a good time. And hopefully y'all will all have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Take care.
Sutherland scientists, staff, administration, excellent job. I appreciate all the hard work y'all do. Y'all definitely make science so fun. So thanks. Run Club, way to represent. Really proud of you. Kind of like they say, I should probably kind of inspire me a little bit. Maybe I need to get out and run some. It won't be far, I promise you. But thank y'all.
Thank you, all the groups that participated. And we're going to take just a little 3-minute pause in case any of you want to leave. But if you're dying to stay to hear all about the other business that we do, we welcome that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Please pause. I'm so sorry. And we have some student members of our board, and please allow them to make remarks as well. Jonathan?
Sorry, parents. I know you guys really want to stay, and to everybody. But I see the Run Club has their medals. It's great to see what they accomplish. But seeing their medals, it makes me happy for them because I know how many more they're gonna collect throughout their life, throughout their years, especially through Sutherland and Dinwiddie schools. There's a lot of opportunities for everybody to get their medal. So I'm just happy to see that everybody's their medal, and our scientists. Chemistry shows you how to grow, and that's something you'll do if you just keep on with it. So
I was so eager to speak because as a past Scotty, I am just really happy just to see how Sutherland, how far it has come. I am really proud of y'all, and I can see that y'all are definitely going to blossom into awesome students, awesome people. And I'm happy to see how happy you all are about being scientists and getting into something that you find interesting. And, with the Run Club, I'm proud of you as well. It's really important for kids, especially younger kids, to get active, to find out those things that they do enjoy, and maybe will even pursue in the future. So I just wanted to say that. I didn't want to hold you up too long, but yes, thank you, Sutherland. You did a great job.
Thank you, and we'll take a 3-minute recess if those of you that would like to move. Okay. I can't even see them for the flowers.
That's so nice. I'm glad They got attention.
I'm glad they stepped up too.
Thank y'all so much for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you. Science, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No. Pass this to Mom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Guess what?
That's what we said. We needed one. That's what we're all in one. I'm grabbing one of these. All right, let me. We start back with expenditure reports. Is that Jay?
Yes.
Okay. Wait for these fiscal period.
Wait, is that
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I did. Thank you, though.
Maybe it was for the kids.
Students, maybe?
The students?
Hey, the student members.
Did they both get one?
They got an extra.
I don't know.
I get little take mine. They both get one. I can get mine.
At this time, we're going to transition back to our open meeting. And we are at the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the expenditure report as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And we need minutes for November the 12th.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for November 12th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Board matters. Ms. Torres?
Good evening. How is everybody today?
Doing fine. How about you?
Good. Here to get a trip for the FFA approved to the Southern Farm Show. It is located in North Carolina State Fairgrounds. It's 132 miles away. They'll take a school bus. Thomas Davis, one of the sponsors, will drive. I believe they took this trip last year. It was an overnight trip. This year it's just going to be a one-day trip. They're leaving in the morning at about 6 and coming back roughly at about 7 p.m. Just here seeking board approval.
Are there any questions about the FFA trip?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the FFA trip as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Enjoy the holidays.
Motion
Thank you.
carries. Mr. Torres, there was a change in a earlier trip, but did we ever get the follow-up information on that?
Yeah, they're going from, we approved one to, it was girls wrestling to Rock Hill, South Carolina, or no, to Pennsylvania. They were headed to Pennsylvania over the break here, and instead of going to Pennsylvania, because we couldn't get that trip sanctioned, they found a tournament in South Carolina. Everything's going to stay the same, the dates.
But it's over the break.
Exactly.
It's over the
I
break,
needed to
but-
get that information so we could get it to the board since there was that change.
Okay, I'll get the exact locations and send it.
We'll do a phone vote.
Okay.
We have to vote on
They
that.
have to
Okay.
vote on it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. Special rates.
Ms. Branch.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am I'm here today to ask for your consideration and approval for certain instructional rates and incentives that we would like to provide to employees. Based on our need to improve literacy and accelerate learning for students, some modifications are necessary to incentivize and attract support in critical areas. These areas include tutoring, substitute rates for licensed and retired educators, and one-time hard-to-staff incentives. Certain funding sources that we've been provided do allow for us to provide an increase to our rates for tutoring. Currently, the recommendation that we have is to have our tutoring rate for acceleration tutors with the license to be changed to $40 an hour. And for those that do not have a active teaching license would be $25 an hour. The same recommendation would be for homebound, algebra readiness, project graduation, and RISE, that they would be paid at those rates for 40 licensed teacher and 25 non-licensed. Our priority is being given to individuals who possess or are eligible for a teaching license with the Virginia Department of Education. In the case of one-time hard-to-staff stipends, those will be determined in conjunction with the superintendent's approval, as well as the list that's provided annually from the Department of Education concerning the critical shortage areas. And the payout for those positions would be based on the teacher being fully licensed in the content area for contract purposes. You may know or understand that the DOE has in recent years began providing a RIPE grant, and in that grant they pay as much as $5,000 depending on the teaching area to teachers that go into hard to staff areas, but that's typically for newly hired teachers or for teachers being transferred into a hard to staff area. So in the cases where we may not have the RIPA grant available, we would like to be able to do something similar for teachers to be able to incentivize them to go into those hard to staff areas. And of course, the continuation of these rates would be contingent upon the school board continuing to receive the necessary funds to support it. So that is my recommendation, and I will ask if you have any questions at this time.
Well, that was what came to my mind was this temporary based on what the governor is offering, but so we would approve it, but then we'd have to back up and approve a different rate if we decided to change in the future? Say those funds were not offered to us in the future?
Possibly, yes, ma'am. Because I know we did receive some funds for all-in, but we do also have some remaining funds. And I don't know if Brenda's here in the room. Okay, yes. So we do also have some remaining funds from ESSER that I believe we're trying to make sure that we spend by a deadline as well. Am I speaking correctly? Okay, so we want to exhaust those funds first before we go into the all-in funds. And I didn't specify previously, but in regards to the licensed and retired educators, that long-term rate recommendation would be $175.
So
per
do we
day.
need to approve it as a temporary measure? Or could we approve it contingent
Yes.
on the fact that we would,
Right.
that it would be funded?
Yes, because if we find that we're in a situation where we wouldn't have the funds, then I would just come back to you again.
Well, then it becomes I think it would be part of our budget preparation process. Right now, we're using other funds that we have available to pay
Yeah.
these. But I think in about 2 years, we probably
Okay.
would be part of we'd have to build it into the budget.
Right.
The operating
Now, all I
budget.
was thinking of is if we weren't afforded those funds in the future,
Yes.
that we would have to revert back. I hope that doesn't happen, but I
I
was.
think you would just approve it in this case, and then as we're building the budget moving in the next couple of years, it would probably have to go into the operating budget.
Okay, thank you.
Like where substitutes are, that line for substitutes.
Okay.
And then the tutoring would be in the academic services budget.
So we do need a motion to approve this new rate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the new rates, special rates that they presented. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Secondary course updates and additions. Ms. Wolford. Yes, ma'am. I cannot, yes, ma'am, I understand that.
Thank you so much.
All right, so included in your packet is not only the course chart that I like to color code so I can keep my self-organized, but also a summary of those changes and our course progressions that our counselors will be using this week to press in, starting with our 9th grade classes. So to better prepare students, parents, and teachers, the goal would be to start scheduling with students by using their English classes, since all students take English, and they would be pushing in this week with all the English classes this semester, and then again in February to share all of these opportunities with our students. Our students have already participated in a course survey where we gauged their interest. I've spoken with department chairs, with school counselors and administration to make the following recommendations. So starting with our English department, looking at our English data, knowing that all students need access to a rigorous curriculum, we are discussing the options for research and writing becoming the writing course for all 10th graders. This may, after we do a little bit more digging, move our writing SOL possibly to the 10th grade if the data indicates that that would be better for our students. Right now, with the new integrated reading writing test, our 11th grade students will be taking 3 assessments in English 11, which is a bit concerning. And so we are starting to prepare students for that, but also want to consider that if writing is taught in 10th, maybe that would reduce the burden in the 11th grade and allow students more time to be successful on that test as it's needed for graduation. So that is something that we are discussing and reviewing now that would give students an opportunity to have more time to better prepare for the writing SOL. This would potentially reduce or eliminate the need for tech writing. A lot of our CTE classes and some of the focus in that is on cover letters and resumes and things like that. And so we're finding that a lot of our other classes are assisting with that and lifting some of that burden off of the English teachers, which would allow our English teachers to focus more on the research and writing and making sure students have access to that curriculum. Additionally, our school newspaper, we were not able to run that class this year, and at this time with the shortage, our vacancy in English, we have found other ways and avenues through our digital and social media classes and other things like that to make sure that our school news is getting out there. So that would also eliminate that class. Moving into social studies, the VDOE is pushing out the new standards in 25-26, and so preparation for the new standards rolling out. We are looking at next year being a crosswalk year. Eventually, world geography would be pushed down to the 8th grade. We already have civics in 7th, and then US 2 would move down to 6th. And so to better prepare for that alignment, I'm making the recommendations to offer just world history to our 9th graders for the coming year. But then also looking at the opportunities that our 10th graders may have by offering dual enrollment to those that are ready for it so that they could start earning those college credits that they would need for their associate's degree. So you will see the changes reflected there in the chart and as well summarized in the one-pager. In mathematics, we do have that new course this year. I've highlighted it because it was something that our students expressed interest in, and it was an option that Richard Bland allowed us to do with quantitative reasoning and Statistics. That's the course that would align with the UCGS passport transfer courses. And so their students are doing very well in that. It's more of a contemporary math, business math kind of pathway for the students that are interested in that pathway, as opposed to the pre-calculus dual enrollment classes. So it gives more opportunities for our students in mathematics if they're not wanting to seek a STEM career and want to take a dual enrollment level course in mathematics. At this time, there's no changes in science, but I would like to note that our our AP Environmental Science more than doubled for enrollment for this coming year. So that's exciting that more students are having that opportunity, and I think that was partly due to our pilot year allowing ninth graders to take biology. So I think a lot more are seeking the AP route since they have that room. So you can see some of the other opportunities that we would have would be in world languages. We do have a teacher that is endorsed to teach dual enrollment Spanish. Mr. Dalton was approved to do that. So we would look to do the upper level Spanishes, which would give them the 200 level course instead of just a 100 level course, which should be, both are transferable, but for many colleges, the 200 level course is more desired. Film study would be a brand new class for 9 through 12 taught by Mr. Booker in our theater arts department, and looking at all the different ways that movies and cinematic things, music and different history, all aspects of film study. And then our 3D design and sculpture would replace our graphic art design class. We still have computer art graphics, and we actually just had a wonderful service learning project completed in that, which we'll highlight at a later date. But I think that the 3D design and sculpture was very popular in the student survey, and I think it will have high enrollment. And then finally, you can see a few other things with our PE department and some changes that they hope to incorporate should the staffing position be available. And then lastly, I just wanted to note that even though floriculture is grayed out on the chart, floriculture and landscaping will be on alternating years, because we found that offering both, the students kind of split their vote. And so we'll be offering that on an alternating basis, as well as the way that we do engineering and architecture drawing design. We alternate those even odd years to ensure that those classes can fill. I also highlighted those new dual enrollment options. So that includes dual enrollment art history and survey, and that will be paired with psychology, which some of our students took over this summer, but offering 2 9-week sections for that in the fall, so that any student that wanted to get their associates would have that option. And then that would mean we would offer computer science this summer. So it's a different summer option for our students seeking their associate's degree.
Okay.
I have a question or minor concern about the students who, in math, who
Yes.
take the the Algebra 2 in their freshman year, and then if they don't go on to the pre-calculus or the pre-calculus math analysis, I'm worried about their being without math their senior year. I mean,
Right, and that's why Math Capstone is one of our more popular classes, especially for seniors. That class is designed to keep students from needing a remedial math when they go into college, and it's highly encouraged for many of our seniors. Ms. Sims normally has a very full class, 2 or more sections of that. And that was also the reasoning behind offering the new probability and statistics class as a non-dual enrollment option or a non-AP option.
Yeah.
So that we would have some additional options for students in mathematics.
right, the student who's not necessarily seeking the 2-year degree or capable of doing calculus.
Correct.
Yeah. And the other thing I was asked about is so that 8th grade, the 7th grade is taking the SOL test.
In civics.
In civics.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the 8th grade, taking.
8th grade does not have an SOL currently with US2. We use the balanced assessment plan to make sure that they have a variety of assessments and submit that to the state for the desk review. We have not gotten word from VDOE yet as to whether or not world geography will be tested when it moves from being a high school credit course down to the 8th grade. So we are waiting to hear back from them as to whether it will continue to be a tested area.
It wouldn't help you much if you had to turn around and test it.
No, it would not.
No.
So we have our fingers crossed there.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the additions, especially in the math updates. When I started college and had stat, it was terrible because I was not introduced to it.
Right.
So I appreciate seeing that, and I think the theater arts are awesome as well.
Currently, Mr. Booker teaches a dual enrollment section of film design for Bright Point, and so he brought that idea, and the students expressed interest in that based on the survey results. So,
My other question was about the research and writing. If we do away
Yes.
with the technical writing,
yes, ma'am.
what about the student who's possibly maybe not as adept or receiving a special needs diploma or,
So
would they
if-
be in the research and writing?
So if they are seeking a standard diploma, they would be in research and writing since all students are expected to achieve the same level of proficiency on the writing SOL. However, we are meeting this summer to create scaffolding supports as well as acceleration for possibly an honors section. So all students would be able to have the same base curriculum with extensions or scaffolding to support either acceleration for a dual enrollment option or to support them if they needed that support to be successful.
'Cause our plan says that we have 5 Englishes, so they would all have to have that.
Well, that's what they all currently either take.
Right, but we're going to eliminate the other one.
Right, so they would all take research and writing. Some take creative writing
Okay.
as another option for their writing elective. So,
That's good. Thank
yes.
you.
Have you thought, are there plans to also bring that into the middle school? Research and writing into the middle school?
So,
And not wait till they get to high school to start?
right, Ms. Walker and I met today to talk about
Okay.
the master schedule. So that is something that we will be considering and how we could, and Dr. Clay mentioned another program that we've learned about from other school divisions to incorporate that. So we will be working pretty heavily over the summer on those curriculums.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there other questions or suggestions on curriculum? Students, you have anything to weigh in on? It's a lot of information.
I
but
think
wonderful information.
it is, and I'm happy that I have this to just look at, and I think that it's good to, add in more classes and give students a chance to kind of specifically get into what they're interested in and hone in on that. And I think that that's really important. And I love seeing that there are going to be additions and changes and things that are getting moved around to make sure that everyone can be successful and everyone can get to where they want to be, no matter what path they end up taking to get there. So I think that's important.
I know, we can't find anybody.
I know you said that the floriculture and the landscaping would be alternating in years. Would that affect students that are interested in landscaping and them having to take it possibly a year later?
So right now, our plant systems pathway starts, they can take foundations of ag in 9th grade, and then they take intro to plant systems, and then they can take landscape or floriculture. So the floriculture will focus more on not only floral design, but also growing the plants in the greenhouse for that, which would be important if they were going into a landscaping field as well. So.
Thank you. We
You have to approve it.
Okay.
Yes.
We're looking at a motion to approve the new courses and the changes.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the 2024-25 secondary course updates and additions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion does carry.
Thank you very much.
Security equipment. Mr. Walters.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Or evening. I'm before y'all today to ask for approval for the security equipment grant that we were given by the VDOE and the DCJS. This year, we were awarded $199,524 with a local match of $49,881, which is 25%. And we are going to use that money, or propose to use that money, to put key card access into Midway Elementary, which we've discussed, and secure their gym with key card access, and also get rid of the old panic bar and the new panic bars that can't be chained to keep people in. We're also going to purchase two, because they're very expensive, but two of the new two-way radios that the county has established for us. They were gracious enough to give us 50, and we're going to try to buy two more because our secondary schools need a great deal of radios. So we're going to try to keep adding to those. And then we're going to take the balance and use it to finish up the DES project that we did last year, which is basically just going to add another security door and control access that we need to finish up. So I'm here to ask for your approval for this. We do propose to award this to Elite Contracting, who does have a state procurement contract for security.
Okay.
And if you have any questions.
Any
I'd be happy to-
questions for Mr. Walters?
I just want to ask about the contract. I have no problem with the contract,
ma'am.
and I trust what you do. But do we do what we normally do, go through other contractors other than the one that we chose?
Usually what happens is when you get these large contracts like this, the procurement process takes place in advance with another school system or something like that, who then establishes a state procurement contract. And then what they do is they take the fair prices and fair market value and they apply it to every contract there forward. So it just saves everybody a lot of time. So that's why Elite has that contract. So that's why we went with them, because they've got the state contract. They actually do all the Dinwiddie County security also. It also ends up matching up real well to have the same security system and the same security alarms and key cards and all that as the county does, because we work in such close proximity with them.
Thank you. That's good.
So if they're-
But normally we would go through competitive bidding
Yes.
if there wasn't a state contract.
So
Absolutely.
if they're on the state list, we don't have to bid it?
That's
so to
correct.
speak. Okay.
Yeah, if
That's
they have
what
a
she
state
was
procurement
asking.
number. That's correct. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And it's good to deal with the local company as well.
It is, but we,
It makes a big difference for maintenance efficiency. I found that, when you call a local company, they usually you know them by, And not that other companies aren't good, but a lot of times it's much easier to get out here and, they can run over after a job or something like that. Whereas if they're from Newport News, it's a little more difficult.
And you're absolutely correct, Mr. Sniff, about a local company
Yeah.
too. But by the same token, we don't want people to think just because it's that.
That's
that
correct.
we haven't given somebody else a chance. But I agree with you about the company because.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
okay, we
So I do need approval for this.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the security equipment grant contract.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the school security equipment grant
Contract.
Second.
contract.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm next too. Back in October, we've talked about the fact that sometimes you need to admit when you don't know what you don't know. So with transportation, it's a sticking point, and it's been very difficult over the years. The last 2 years. So what we decided to do is we're going to go out and find some experts that know how to analyze transportation, know how to do all these things, and that's what they do for a living. And then we're going to bring them in and have them show us how to do it. So in October, we put out a request for proposal for a transportation efficiency study to be done, and an emphasis on that study will be on route analysis and efficiency, which is very important, as you can imagine, in Dinwiddie County. So we did have 5 proposals. They were all excellent proposals. We did go with the Center for Effective School Operations, which is CESO, and we issued a notice of intent to award on November 29, 2023, and we're hoping to begin that project with your approval in early January of 24. What that's going to allow us to do is going to allow us to implement any recommendations that will not affect immediate consistency, and so we can put those into a place right now. And then it's also going to allow us to prepare to put any other major recommendations that they may have into effect in August of '24, so for next school year. So I am here before you asking for your approval to award a contract to CESO, the Center for Effective School Operations, in the amount of $33,250 for a transportation efficiency study.
Are there questions about this project?
I do have one question, I guess. For this efficiency study, obviously, you know, they're always gonna say staffing.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of another thing, everywhere in the states having problems staffing
Yes,
bus
sir.
drivers. So, I mean, I just wanna make sure this company's not gonna preach just that aspect.
No, they've actually, we discussed that in their interview, and surprisingly enough, staffing is very seldom the issue with routing efficiency. It's usually, in full transparency, it's school starting times. You know, if you start all of your schools at the exact same time, it's very difficult to bust them. So they're probably going to propose some sort of staggered, I don't want to go out and say I know what they're going to do, but some sort of staggered starting time. And also, they're going to talk a lot about analyzing our routes and making sure that we're being efficient. You know, anytime you have buses that go down the same road, you're probably not being real efficient. But what happens with us is we add kids, we lose kids. You know, it's very difficult to do unless you really, really know how to analyze a route. So I'm hoping that they're going to come in and they're going to not talk about staffing, because I don't think that that's the issue. Obviously, we'd like more bus drivers, but I think that we have plenty of really hardworking bus drivers to get this done. And we did discuss that.
I'm glad to see we're doing this study, because that's definitely been a kind of, a little bit of a thorn.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
For a while now.
Well, I think that's the first step to progress, is admitting that there's an issue.
And the other thing is, hopefully they are familiar with the different technologies that we're already using or
They
we've
are.
already bought.
They are. They have two Traversa experts on staff with their company. It's a major company, but they have people that are experts in our software.
Good. Thank you.
Well, this is interesting, and I'm glad, I'm one who's glad to see it happen, because I want to see what they do with the rural area, the places that we've had trouble with turnarounds, dark spots, and those kind of things. So I think it's something that we need and will benefit us a lot.
Absolutely. That's another one of our criteria was we want people who are going to come here. We don't want somebody from afar doing it remotely. We want somebody who's going to put boots on the ground here in Dinwiddie County and go look at these places. And because, you know, you can put it on a map and it looks great, but if you can't turn around on Butterwood Road, it throws everything out. So,
And where was that you and I went, Miss Mary, looking for the turnaround?
yeah. Not a lot of places to turn around. Not safe places anyway.
Yes.
No, it's not.
But I would like to get your approval to have this.
We need a motion to approve the efficiency study.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the efficiency study for transportation efficiency study as presented and award the contract to the
It's CESO.
CESO.
Yes, sir.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Golson, is there any new business? No? Okay.
All right, well, me again.
I'm glad you stayed.
We, a couple months ago or a little while ago, we asked you to allow us to conduct an enrollment study. So again, we went out and hired a company. So I have with me today Miss Georgia Leonard, who's the project manager for Davis Demographics/MGT. And she's been very helpful in producing this study for us and explaining it to us. So I'm going to let her give you the presentation because that's her area of expertise. So without further ado.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you all for having me here this evening. Oh, yes, definitely need the clicker. It has been genuinely my honor to be here and get to see all these kids in action. That was a joy for me. I love science too. So I'm going to let them. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes. I think we're on.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Should be at the very bottom that looks like a little projector. Yes? Awesome. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to take us through a little bit of our methodology so y'all can understand our process. But then I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that because I'll do more talking about it as I go through how things relate to y'all specifically. At any time through what I'm, if y'all want to stop me and ask more of a detailed question, because some of this does kind of get pretty technical, just, wave me down and I'll pause or go back. Okay, so when we first start working with a district, there's a lot of data that we need to acquire. It's spatial as well as tabular. Everything that we do has a very spatial component to it. And then once we get that, we do additional research, like your residential development is a huge, huge component. And then we kind of bring all these pieces together and we analyze them and we create your forecast. This lovely chart is actually our methodology in a picture. But what I really, really want y'all to see is that everything we do, one of the biggest foundations is y'all's student data. And we actually use 4 years of student data, your current, and then 3 years of historical. And all of the factors that we bring together are directly applied to that student data. Once we get it, we verify it. We go through a QA/QC process to make sure that what we are working with is the best data to work with. And then we go through a process called geocoding. And this is where we actually take those students and we put them on a map. And so those dots that you see in number 2 are your students, and those are your students for all 4 years, okay? And so what's interesting is sometimes you'll see that hot spot towards the top, and then you'll see in the more rural areas where it's more spaced out. Then we take your attendance areas. Remember, everything that we do is very, very spatial. So we take your attendance areas and we cut them up into bite-sized pieces, right? Into neighborhoods, we look at patterns of transportation as far as where roads are entering into an area. Maybe there's a geographical boundary, and we cut them down, and we typically get to about 50 students per study area, if we can. And y'all's district ended up with 251 study areas. And what happens is when we apply these factors that I'm about to go into, it gets applied to each one of these study areas individually that eventually sums up to your forecast. So with the geocode and having your attendance areas drawn, we are then able to start the process of spatial analytics. So here you're seeing your density map, kind of like a weather map where you've got that hot spot of the yellow that shows where most of your students actually live in your district. Then you've got that gradient of blue where just because it's lighter doesn't mean there's not students there, it's just not as intense. And going along next with our location analytics, spatial analytics, is we do something called an attendance matrices. And this is where we take this cross-reference of where students are enrolled versus where they live, right? Because just the open enrollment, right? So you have students. So for example, and I'm gonna walk y'all through on how to read this. Going on the schools on the left, those are your schools of residence. And the schools along the top are your schools of enrollment. So think spatial area versus an actual school site, okay? So for example, in Dinwiddie Elementary School, you have 288 students, elementary grade students that live in the attendance area for Dinwiddie. And then you have 239 of those students are choosing to go to their home campus, while 15 of those students are choosing to go to Midway, and so forth. And then if you're going down, now you're able to see the location of where students live that make up the enrollment for Dinwiddie Elementary. So 239 live in their attendance area, 5 are coming from Midway, and so forth. And then you have your total enrollment of 331. Backing up a little bit, so that means that you have 326 resident students, right? These are students that live within your attendance area, live within your district. And then you have 5 non-resident. These are students that reside outside of your district, okay? And then we have your utilization. It kind of goes into, I'm gonna read this one off also for you. We have campus capacity. So for example, we have 400 for Dinwiddie Elementary School. And then so those 288 students that reside, if all 288 chose to go to, and only that 288 chose to go to Dinwiddie Elementary, then you'd be at a 72% capacity. However, with having 331 currently enrolled, you are at 82.8% capacity. So, and then you have your total transfers of 87 in, 49 out, 5 resident students, non-resident students coming in. So you have a total transfer in of 92. Any questions on this? Because I know the matrices can get, okay. All right, and then we have the same thing for middle school and high school. Obviously, these are district-wide schools, so they're only have everybody's in the district is going, all 903 students go to that school. But it's also good to see that you have 7 middle school coming from outside of the district, as well as 9 high school coming outside of the district. And then your utilization for your middle school is about 82%, and your utilization for your middle school is about 76%. All right, so now we're going to start getting into some of these factors that directly impact your forecast. And one of the things that we look at is your birth rates. We go through and we, regardless of how we're able to obtain it, whether it's county or zip code, we can then surmise how that should directly impact your kindergarten cohort. We work under the assumption that 5 years later after they're born, they should be beginning to start kindergarten. And so this past school year, you had 193 students that were born, sorry, back that up. In 2017, you had 193 students that were born, and they should have been kindergarten students in 2022. The capture rate on that was about 150% because you had 290 kindergarten cohorts. So that means that you had more students becoming kindergarten students that were born in your county. This can be contributed to other things that we're going to get into, like mobility, as well as people having more that were being born and moving in, so it's mobility. So a lot of that's mobility. And then what I do like to point out here is, for the most part, your birth rates going forward are 0.99. However, you do have a 0.85. So what that means is that in the forecast year of 2024, you will most likely have a slight dip in your kindergarten cohort. But next, or actually this year, what you would have had for this year, I would have anticipated having a slight bump in your kindergarten cohort. And this kind of shows that capture rate as well. When we get that rate, we like to compare it to our forecast and see what the ongoing trend is, and the historical trend here as that that y'all have a 150% capture rate. So y'all are traditionally getting more students in your district that are enrolling in your schools than you typically get that are being born here. And so it's a really nice trend to see. That means that you'll have people moving. The next thing is mobility factors. This is where your historical students come into play, okay? This is a number that is purely driven by your students. There's no other calculation being derived here. And what it does is we have all 4 years, and we calculate the number of students that are moving into and out of, or enrolling and unenrolling in the district. So let me read this left to right because it's a bit wonky. So think about it as students as they're going from kindergarten into first grade, right? It's a spatial cohort. As they go from kindergarten to first grade, are you maintaining that 100%, or are you losing some of those students, or are you gaining some students? Okay, so looking again at Dinwiddie, you're gaining a 2%. Okay, so as those kindergartens, so if you, for example, if you had 100 kindergartners in Dinwiddie Elementary School, then when they transferred to first grade, you had 102. What I really think is fascinating about this chart is you can see that you've got an increased capture on kindergarten to first, and then a recapture from 8th to 9th grade. And without even doing any additional research, I could tell that y'all have some form of a non-district charter, a magnet, and that ends at 8th grade, and then you're recapturing those students back in 9th grade as they start high school. It could also be homeschool students that you're recapturing as well. And then another interesting phenomenon that I saw in this chart is your 11th to 12th. This tells me that y'all have a credit capture recovery for seniors, and this tells me it's working. because oftentimes in this year we see declining numbers, or at least where they're about staying the same at 1, and y'all actually have 3 out of the 5 that are growing.
Can I ask a question real quick? So can you go back to that one?
Yes.
So this is even over the pandemic, the years of the pandemic.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess I was anticipating seeing something of a more of a decline, because most schools did see a great decline over that time.
There are pockets that y'all have where there was a little bit of a decline. Like if you see that 0.89 for Midway going from 3rd to 4th,
Right.
That would be an 11% drop.
That's right.
But it seems that you are capturing those back at some point. So what I'm really, really curious to see is, should we have the opportunity to work again with you guys? Once we get past that 4 years where COVID is no longer in that calculation. And I will say this, in any of the districts that I've worked with, there's something that we can do called weighted mobility. If I felt that it was necessary to apply a weight to the most recent 2 years, I would have done so. But in y'all's case, I didn't think that was necessary, so I left the numbers as they were.
Great. That's great. Thank you.
Would this, if we moved a program, I mean, was that taken into effect of the, if we moved, I don't know, would we,
Like a special ed.
yeah, if we moved a autistic class from one school to the next, or we
Added
preschool, was that included in that factor?
It would not be, because this is all spatially based.
Data, okay.
And so those students are already being captured regardless of where they live. Or where they're enrolled. Okay, so the next thing that we get is your student yield factors. Student yield factors are also derived using your existing students, but they are applied to future housing, okay? And so the process in which happens is I look at the type of housing that you have coming in, and then I go through your district and I have your parcel information, I have your geocoded students, and then I can then do an analysis on what type of housing is each of these students living in. And then I can build this rate and apply it to future housing. And so what this means is that for every 100 single family detached units, you could anticipate having 0.456 students coming from that, okay? So in that case, 100 units would equal about 45 students, okay? And now granted, that is kindergarten through 12th, so that's 13 grade levels, and that's across the duration of how long it takes that neighborhood to stabilize. And when I say that, because they don't all show up at once, sometimes it can take them 3 to 5 years to that neighborhood to fully stabilize, okay? Your apartments, so the interesting thing is y'all have very few apartments within the Dinwiddie boundaries, but you have 3, and I'll get to that here in a second. You actually have 3 that are up and coming that we did go ahead and include in the phasing. And I don't want to get too far into that, but what I would recommend is in a few years, maybe 2-3 years, reevaluating the apartment number so that we can ensure that those numbers still hold true, okay? Because the apartments that are here have been around for a little bit, and the apartments that are coming online are going to be built differently and have different unit room counts, like whether it be a 1-bedroom or 3-bedroom, and that's going to yield a different type of a different count of students. This is a list of your residential development. It lets you see which projects the developer, the study area in which they fall in, which that could tie into the actual report later. The type of unit, and as well as the numbers that we were applied to the forecast. And then they're categorized by which elementary school that they are in. As you see, South Side has the majority units, but majority number development, but Sutherland has the most, sorry. Okay, so you have 13 new developments, 688 are new residents. that are being included in the forecast, 566 of those are the apartments. Okay, so if I take that 566 and I multiply it by the rate that we were looking at earlier, that 0.317, we get 179 students, kindergarten through 12th grade. Okay, so 13 grade levels, and so that's just kind of how that math works. It's simple math. It just takes the whole spatial analytics to get to it. This shows you the breakdown in the number of units by elementary attendance area. Sutherland has 56% of the development, while Midway only has like 2%. I believe it's like 11 units. What I really want to point out on this slide is that we don't have anything in phasing for the last 4 years, okay? Again, this is stuff that's in flux, right? And once you create this study, it's almost, it's going to consistently change as new developers come online, as they update. Maybe they're going to build faster, they're going to build slower, or maybe they just may cancel a project altogether. I've seen that happen. So revisiting this again in a few years to see what may be impacting those last 4 years that we don't have data for. All right, so we've brought all the pieces together, and I often compare it to like baking a cake, right? We have to get all the ingredients, and then now we can bake a forecast. And so going from left to right, your residential housing, your projects impacts each year individually, the number of students or the number of units coming online each year. And then that mobility, right, as they go from kindergarten to first to second, you have that downward trickle trend. These are your resident students. We're in everything, all signs to me right now point at everything being very, very stable. Slight, just minor fluctuations, but very, very stable. I always tell my districts to focus more on the first 3 to 5 years of a forecast, right? Because those are areas where we have really, really solid confirmation on births, residential development, and the mobility. And this is where we start bringing it back together. We bring back in the out-of-district students, and we apply this a rate of change, and then we get back to your total enrollment. And so you can see, again, a very, very stable population, just a few minor fluctuations up or down. And the next few charts, again, just to visually, just another visual interpretation of how the stability is within the district. All right, so the next series of maps, this one is for the entire K-12, and then the next slide actually has them broken down by grade configuration. You can see the specific study areas, that's what you're looking at here, where you have growth, and where neighborhoods may be turning over so that you don't have as many students there. And don't let the red shock you, don't let it, be alarming. But that just means that in those very large, some of those are pretty large geographies, up to 30 students. And that could be a neighborhood turning over. And then, and I'm gonna see if I can point out this little red. It's right up at, you can't really see it, the very, very northeast corner where that earlier y'all had the densest population. That's where I'm seeing some of that darker blue. So up to 113 students, most likely due to an apartment complex. And the areas of white are no change. So your elementary, so you can see the different pockets of change that's happening based on elementary, middle school, and high school. And you'll also get all these maps in your final report. And so in summary, again, I try to get my districts to focus just on that 5-year mark. We have, again, very, very stable numbers. It's just a good thing. This is a good thing because there's a lot of districts across the United States that I work with that are having an enrollment decline, and I'm not seeing that here at all. So, and as y'all continue to get more development, that could very well change. y'all could actually see an increase. So in summary, the 2019 births in Dinwiddie County are going to result in a dip in the 2024 kindergarten class. Mobility to kindergarten to first grade and 8th to 9th indicate growth and recapture of students. Mobility from 11th to 12th indicates a success in the credit recovery program. Your student yield factors are on trend for stable communities. 56% of your development is in Sutherland Elementary School, which is going to be what drives the growth in that specific area. But overall, the district is expected to remain stable. All very, very good things. And that concludes. Any questions?
Yes, a question over there.
Can you go back?
Yeah, absolutely. You tell me when to stop. That one? Yes, sir.
The SFD, the math is wrong.
Is it?
The 6 is supposed to be a 7.
The K568?
The SFD is supposed to be.
It's supposed to be
a 7.
0.457, not 456.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. Nicely done. It is. Good job.
You need to hire him.
And what grade are you in, honey?
Yes.
What grade are you in?
I'm in
5th grade.
That is amazing. I will be sure that that is corrected when we have the final report. That's awesome.
That's the Dinwiddie difference.
Yeah.
I love it.
The Dinwiddie difference.
That's brilliant. So,
When you do these predictions, or for example, like the apartment complex comes in, is there any, data that would suggest that sometimes that would just possibly replace some of your other substandard housing where people have, houses that may need too much repair and those people just move into the newer style apartments?
we don't have anything specifically on that. What I will say is what we focus on typically when there's enough of a sample to apply those numbers to is we try to look at, for example, apartments that have been built within the past 10 years are more likely to resemble the type of apartments that are being built now. And it also depends on if they're going to be luxury apartments, how many units that apartment complex may, the number of bedrooms in each unit, right? I want to say, and I may have this wrong, that one of the apartment complexes that are being built, about half of them are single bedroom, and then the rest of them may be 2 or 3 bedroom. And so that might also indicate that you're going to have fewer students come out of that, right? Because
single people. Yeah.
Right. And then, so those are the kind of variables that we're looking at when it comes to your apartments. We try, if we can help it, not use maybe apartment complexes that have been around for 50 years, because that's not necessarily indicative of what is going to be built in quality or in price. So does that answer?
Yeah, well, I was thinking over time, we had some housing in Dinwiddie that was, may not be approved for the future, or where someone has been allowed to have a trailer behind the house, or different kinds of zoning things that change may attract some of those people to move into new apartments versus in some of the other housing that we've had.
And that could, in those instances where you have like a multifamily dwelling, maybe the dwelling that's in the backyard, so to speak. If, let's say, for example, if there's a student that lives there and then they move into that apartment, you will see in the mobility that student loss, if it's in the net change of things, you'll see that change in the mobility. But then on the new apartment, you're going to see it uptick in the student yield. So it's kind of like a transition of sorts. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other corrections?
I know I'm gonna recruit him. Like 20 more years.
So the plan was to bring this before you today, and
Yes.
then there will be a final report that we'll be receiving.
Correct. There's actually a few more components that we will provide that I know my office is already currently working on. There's an environmental study. And when I say environmental, it's not like the trees and grass. It's more like just different demographics that are happening in the area, whether it be transportation and whatnot. That's already been brought across my desk in a draft form, and not ready to present that yet. And then we have a few other things that we're going to look at applied to utilization. So when you do get your final report, there will be an influx of additional information and some other maps that were not a part of this portion. Before we can get to that, we have to get the forecast solidified. And then, but you're going to see more information and maps about utilization and any kind of suggestions we may have about that as well.
And then the goal would be that between the enrollment study and then you lay the transportation study on top of that, then we can start making some recommendations and looking at the capacity of the buildings and where we are will help us to make some informed decisions, moving
Absolutely.
forward, programming decisions.
And I believe there'll be a boundary analysis,
Yes.
so maybe recommendations on that also.
Correct. Yeah, you have one of the elementary schools is at like a 90%.
That's
And
correct.
so we might look at that and say, maybe if we adjust this, we can help balance everything up to be like maybe closer to an 80%.
Right.
So there might be some suggestions and thoughts about that we can provide and allow y'all to make better data-driven decisions.
Thank you.
You are so very welcome.
I think that's it for Mr. Walters this
Yes.
evening. Thank you. I'm going to have Ms. Brooks come, and she's going to talk to us about the early kindergarten entry regulations and kindergarten registration. It's already time for that again.
Time
Exciting.
is rolling, yes, ma'am. So good evening. Tonight I'm going to just go over our regulations. We don't need a board vote on this. These regulations are being added to our board policy, which involves the age at which we allow children to enter kindergarten. So state code says that school divisions do have the right to allow children born after that September 30th mark, between October 1 and December 31st, to be admitted into kindergarten if the school system has a process in place. So we are proud to say that we do have a process in place. We pride ourselves in meeting children where they are. So what we have done is we have created a process where it's very detailed and the steps that would be involved. So if a parent reaches out to us and requests that we consider their 4-year-old for entry into kindergarten, if their birthday falls between October 1 and October 31st, the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to do an interview with the family. We have some very specific interview questions. I believe these were provided for you. We're going to administer an academic readiness instrument, and the one that we selected to use is our kindergarten screener. We screen all of our 5-year-olds entering kindergarten with this screener. We will do a social and emotional readiness, which will help us determine the child if they're ready with their self-regulation, social skills, and well-being. And then we will conduct a meeting, kind of like our student success team meeting, where we will bring everyone to the table to review the data, to go over the interview questions. We did create a rubric so that we're very methodically determining whether these children, if we are setting them up for success to enter kindergarten before the age of 5. We're very happy to say that we did pilot this year. We have 3 young ladies who entered our schools who were born, I believe, One of those, the latest date was October 18th. So we have reviewed the data associated with all three of those children, and they are thriving. They are doing well academically based on our Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Program in math, social skills, and literacy. So we're very proud of that. Are there any questions about the early kindergarten entry? We don't need board approval. It's just to make sure that everyone's aware of what our process is.
And now, I know you're saying early kindergarten. Would that affect first grade? They still have to go by the deadlines for entering the first grade, or they just, when they finish that program, they just go on over?
Yes, ma'am. Once they complete kindergarten successfully, they would just automatically roll into first grade the following school year.
I see.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. The next thing that I wanted to inform you of, these are hot off the press. We have not released these out to the public yet, but as we said, we are already discussing how we're accepting preschool applications and kindergarten registration for the following school year. Y'all hang on, please, okay? So we do have a very formal process in place for our accepting of our 4-year-old applications, and we do that in collaboration with the Improvement Association, with Head Start. So our process this year, our launch date for that is going to be February 5th. That is when all school buildings will have the flyers. We'll send them home. We'll post on social media. So we'll start trying to get all of our potential 4-year-old candidates for our Bright Stars, our VPI program, and for Head Start, for the Improvement Association to fill their 4-year-old slots. I also gave you a copy of the kindergarten registration, because we will also be launching on February 5th the kindergarten registration process. In years past, prior to COVID, we used to have a regional kindergarten week established in April that was sponsored by the United Way of Greater Richmond. There has been some discussion about what that looks like now, because we feel very strongly that we need to really focus on an event to get folks out, to get them started the process with registration and completing, providing all the documents. So we are looking at in March to hold maybe two events, one with early learning. When we talk about early learning, we want to ensure that our families in Dinwiddie County are aware of the opportunities in the county for any child ages birth through age 5, because we do have 3 daycare centers, we have 6 licensed providers, we have the Improvement Association, and we have our VPI program. So it's interesting to hear all the numbers and the projected numbers, because based on the 2022 census, it tells us that we have a little over 1,000 children in our county that are going to be looking for some type of childcare or preschool opportunity. We are working in collaboration with Thrive Birth Through 5 out of Ready Region Central. They're going to help support us with that coordinated enrollment, what that looks like, being able to provide families with choices, making sure they're aware of all the opportunities that we do have. We're in a really good spot because we've done a lot of this lead work in the past. Our neighboring community, Prince George County, has 0 daycare centers. So they are at a daycare desert right now for childcare. So we're in a really good position to have 3 and our 6 licensed providers. So we're really looking forward to collaborating with all of those daycare center directors and family providers to be able to hold an event, hopefully in March, since we do have that early school, since we begin before Labor Day. Any questions? I will tell you that Ready Regions West, which is in Roanoke City, they are piloting this year a single point of entry, and they're using a program through Bridge Care, which is really exciting for early childhood education. They are actually have families in 15 different localities apply in one location, and then that program helps them determine what their opportunities are, which programs they qualify for. It captures all their information, whether they need care on the weekends or non-traditional care in the evenings. So they're piloting that. So one of the goals of Ready Region Central, and of course has been ours for years, is to have that single point of entry to help our families only have to apply one time. And then we say, here's the programs that you're qualified for, here are your choices. So we're really excited about that. Okay.
It's very good.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm going to talk about two different regulation updates. Again, these do not need approval. It's really for awareness and to see if there are any questions that you have. So we will start with JC regulations. And this is about school attendance areas. And the only updates here, one is we added some wording about if a student is on a waiver, let's say they live in the Midway District, they're on a waiver to Sutherland, we added that they also had to have acceptable academic performance. There are already some other criteria there about behavior and attendance, but we just added the academic piece. The other piece that has been added here, you will see we've added a code G. So currently, we do allow waivers for childcare purposes. If you're an employee's child, you still have to, for the childcare piece, you have to live in our district, right? For the employee piece, you may not live in our district, but if you work in Dinwiddie County Schools, your child can attend here. We have added code G. I'm going to use the word blessed. We are blessed to have a great working relationship with Dinwiddie County government. We are great partners with them, and we appreciate that. So as a part of this partnership, and really to extend this partnership, for this regulation, Dinwiddie County government employees' children would be able to attend Dinwiddie County Public Schools. And again, the same criteria would be in place about good standing, attendance, discipline or behavior, academic performance, but that would just be an added benefit if you're a Dinwiddie County government employee, and it would help our numbers as well. So, any questions about those updates?
I like that update, Dr. Clay, and it's a win-win to actually.
Absolutely.
We have younger people, younger mothers, fathers coming into Dinwiddie to work. They don't have to worry about staying home.
That's
until they
exactly right.
Get daycare or whatever they need to take care of the children, and I think it's a good idea. I like it.
So the next update is for regulations for JEC. You will see the same piece that I just spoke of about Dinwiddie County government employees' children has been added there at the top. That is really the only change. There are some other things that we just added to the regulation that were not there. So if you look down at number 3, you see a lot of red, meaning we added a lot of things there. None of that's different, though, from our current procedures for registration. What we decided was that the registration information that is on our county website also needed to be in our regulation. So really what you see there for number 3, all of that red about enrollment and registration is already our procedure. It was just, we kind of copied and pasted what was on the website to also be in regulation. So it was in more than one place and that parents understood this is truly our procedure where you prove residency and enroll your children. So again, that information is the exact same information from the county website, just copy and paste to add there.
Back where you had the people, non-residents and the things that, like a number of days or attendance on grades, is it worded so that these factors could be considered, so it's not hard and fast if you have someone who's ill or in a car accident and they miss more than 10 days? I mean, is it worded so that there's a a variance for a committee to make a decision or something?
Sure, it says it's a waiver consideration, so I think
Okay.
it's a consideration, not a mandate.
Okay.
So really what should happen, and I think we've had instances where this has happened in the past few years, if someone's on a waiver and there's a concern that arises, what should happen is the principal or assistant principal calls that parent or guardian, they have a meeting, maybe there needs to be a student success team meeting where we figure out how we can support students better or what the barriers are, but absolutely those are considerations, and we should always be talking to the parent or guardian to make sure we're doing what's best for the child.
Thank you.
Yes.
And one more question about that, with the government employees as well as our own employees. How does that work if they terminate the employment as far as the students?
My understanding would be that if they do not live in Dinwiddie County and we terminate the employment, that waiver is no longer valid because they're not an employee anymore. That's correct.
And we have had that happen, just teachers moving on, but we allowed them to continue if they were a rising senior.
Yes, that is part of our
If they had their own
regulation.
transportation.
Yes, there is a regulation. It is not this one that's about seniors, like if they've been with us and they can stay with us that year to graduate. Yes. Any other questions about those updates? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have Rwanti update. Ms.
Okay.
Haney?
We had a Rwanti board meeting, our last one for this year, 2023, on December 7th. And the meeting was called to order at 9 o'clock. And they went over student recognition program updates. And she always has 3 of the groups that are in Rwanti give us updates on what they've been doing. And this time we had the auto technology group talk, the gentleman in charge of that. And he was just telling us about the certification tests that the kids have to take and how they've started taking them and how many have passed in this early portion. And he's had some kids that have passed, like 3 students passed all 10 tests already, and they haven't even completed the year yet. So, he was real proud of those kids. Then we had the auto body update, and he said that they had the ASC test that they took, and 60% passed for the first time. And, they get a chance to do it again, so that was a good report also. And then in electricity, they had a day in the life of a lineman, and SE Southside Electric took 14 students out for a day. And that was really interesting. The students thoroughly enjoyed it, and they had a good time with that. Then we went on to some other matters that were talked about, but they did mention that the job fair for Rwanti is going to be on March 13th on 2024. And I think that was it. They talked about the safety needs. They're going through the same things we are. They're doing video cameras on the front doors. They're doing door repairs like we are. And the building upgrades, the nice thing about Rwanti, they can do their own painting. They can do a lot of their electrical systems. I mean, it's just amazing. The kids are doing extremely well. And they are thinking of future program updates. They're talking about adding manufacturing systems and home health care aides instead, which is right below the CNAs. So those are the programs that they're considering.
Thank you. Ms. Golson, has anyone signed up for comments? No citizen comments. Special recognitions, Dr. Weston.
This is one of those bittersweet special recognitions, so I'm going to try do my best to see if we can get through this. I am going to ask Ms. Benjamin and also Ms. Pittman to come and join me. As you all know, we have 3 board members who have served us amazingly over the years, and this is the last time they officially will be serving us in this capacity, although they will continue to serve us in our community. And we still have a lot of work to do. So we will still need you to be our, to carry our banner, to be our support to our young people, and to, you know, come to board meetings and help to give us a wise advice along the way. We do have resolutions for each one of you, and I would just like to read what the resolution says, and then we're going to invite each of you to come to receive your resolution and your special recognition. It says, whereas, and it has the school board member's name, has served on the school board. So this is Ms. Haney, has served on the school board county since January 1st, 2020. And we should have added Mr. Haney's in there. So I think it's a total of 20 years. The Haneys have served on the school board 20 years. Mrs. Haney chose not to seek reelection to the school board. And during those 4 years, Mrs. Haney has played a decisive role in strengthening the school system of this county through her unselfish contribution of time, having served as both a member and as a chair. And she earned and maintained the respect of her fellow members by consistently acting fairly and impartially to ensure that the needs and interests of the children were met. Therefore, be it resolved that the school board of Dinwiddie County hereby expresses its sincere appreciation to Mrs. Betty T. Haney for her outstanding service and her commitment to the improvement of educational system of Dinwiddie County. And be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted as a token of appreciation, gratitude, and recognition of her as one of Dinwiddie's most outstanding public servants, whose expertise and wise counsel will be sorely missed by this board and the entire school division. And it's signed by all members of the board. So if you could join us, Ms. Haney. I'll give this to you. Yes, you have to stay up here. Thank you. We'll tell you like we tell the children. We want to congratulate her. Let me get a picture of them. Stay right there. Okay. Now, Mr. Jerry W. Schneff, Jr. has served on the school board of Dinwiddie County since January 1st, 2020. Mr. Schneff chose not to seek reelection of the school board, and during those 4 years, he's played a decisive role in strengthening the school system of this county through his unselfish contribution of time, having served as a member, and he has earned and maintained the respect of his fellow members by consistently acting fairly and impartially to ensure that the needs and interests of the children were met. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the school board of Dinwiddie County hereby expresses its sincere appreciation to Mr. Jerry W. Schneff, Jr. for his outstanding service and his commitment to the improvement of the educational system of Dinwiddie County, and be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted as a token of appreciation, gratitude, and the recognition of him as one of Dinwiddie's most outstanding public servants, whose expertise and wise counsel will be sorely missed by this board and this entire school division. Mr. Schneff, come forward. All right. So stay right there. Okay. In appreciation of the services rendered by Sherlyn H. Merritt, whereas Ms. Sherlyn Merritt has served on the school board of Dinwiddie County since January 1st, 2012. During these 12 years, Ms. Merritt has played a decisive role in strengthening the school system of this county through her unselfish contribution of time, having served both as a member and as a chair, and she has earned and maintained the respect of her fellow members by consistently acting fairly and impartially to ensure that the needs and interests of children were met. Therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Dinwiddie County hereby expresses its sincere appreciation to Mrs. Sherlyn Merritt for her outstanding service and her commitment to the improvement of the educational system of Dinwiddie County, and be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted as a token of appreciation, gratitude, and recognition for her as one of Dinwiddie's most outstanding public servants, whose expertise and wise counsel will be sorely missed by this board, by this and this entire school division. They were going to get the stool out for her. So if I can have you stand over here, you'll stand here. I have two more that we have to provide you all. So we have for the members that have also served as a chair, we have Mrs. Haney, in appreciation for dedicated service as chairman in 2022 as the school board chair. I'll give you your baggie back. I don't want to mess that up. And we also have a gavel for Ms. Sherlyn Merritt in appreciation for dedicated service as chairman, Dinwiddie County School Board 2019. I'm personally not going to say goodbye to anyone because we still have a lot of work to do in this community, and it will still continue to take all of your talents and expertise to do this work. And I have personally benefited from your wise counsel and support over these years, and I want everyone to know how much I've appreciated working with a board that works so well together and really comes to work every single day being about young people, first and foremost and always. So thank you so much. Did you want to say anything, Ms. Pittman?
Change is often hard for those of us in education. We like to get used to how we do things. So it's change is important, but we're going to miss you personally as people. And I agree with her. We hope that you're around and call and give us advice because we're used to that and we need that. And we appreciate your service. Would you like to say something?
Well, I'm gonna miss you, all three of you, but I have to say that I'm glad our paths crossed because my life is better if I haven't met the three of you, and I thank God for it.
Slide this way. That's fine. That way's good. That way's good. Slide.
You want to do both or just one?
Yeah.
What?
You see, that's better for her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'll put yours back in there as well. I do think I did hear someone say that they might be on the citizen comments every now and again, so. And we would welcome that.
Gonna give them a hard time.
We do end comments on that, break protocol and start with the students, so I won't leave you out. Anything you'd like to add to this meeting?
Overall, this meeting, I've had a lot of fun seeing Sutherland and everything they've been able to grow out of their system, and seeing my little brothers here as well. Them being able to sit through the whole meeting quietly for some parts is great.
Did a good job.
And just the overall changes that we're doing and the precautions we're taking, the measures to avoid any issues in the future is also great. Seeing all the security measures and new studies we're taking towards improving our county, seeing that we are growing all together. and it's been great sharing the board, especially with Mr. Schneff, Miss Merritt, and Miss Haney. You know, I've been on the board for 2 years, and I've had a lot of great experiences and a lot to learn from you three. And I hope to continue learning from you three in the future. Thank you.
I would definitely have to agree with that, with it being my, first year serving. There's so much more that I want to learn before you all part ways, and I'm excited to learn all of that. And one big thing from this meeting that I got was just change, a lot of change now and future change. And I'm excited to see everything being implemented, and I'm excited to just see everything come into fruition in front of my eyes right now. Like I said before, I love the Sutherland presentation. Seeing the Run Club was nice. And I just really look forward to these meetings. It's always something happening, and I love seeing it. So,
Ms. Merritt?
The only thing I want to say is, first of all, 12 years has been a wonderful experience for me. And I thank the principals, the staff, the entire school system for welcoming me in. And I've gotten to know many of you. And I think Dinwiddie is blessed to have you all employed for our school system. And Miss Benjamin and Miss Pittman, many of you all don't know that it's all out in the community that we're actually twins.
Yes.
Yeah. We're sisters, maybe from another mother, but that's how we treat each other. And Miss Haney, I've learned so much from you, and I love your attitude. And Jay, you and I, we see a lot together, and I appreciate everything that you all have done for me, and especially you all have taught me a lot. You're never too old to learn, and I appreciate everything that I've learned from the board, the school system. And I have to tell you all this, and it's true that I've cried so many times in my 12 years for children, because that's my weakness. And I don't like to see children without, and I don't like to see them in predicaments that they were not, they had nothing to do with. And I remember one day, I think we were at Eastside Enhancements, and this situation occurred with a child. And I think all of us actually cried. For those who were on the board, it was complete silence. And at that moment that I realized we love and care about our children in the school system. And one day I cried so bad that Mr. Garnes was out there. Instead of him, he had to turn away from the student. He was consoling the student to console me because I was crying for that child so bad. And it lets me know that our staff, again, we are blessed to have people like you all in the school system. I wish you well, and like Dr. Weston says, it's not goodbye. I'll see you later. If it's anything that I can do for you, or use me as a resource for something, just look me up. Thank you.
Ms. Benjamin?
Well, I'm going to miss the three of you, but I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm just let it go. But I want to say thanks to all of you who are here this evening, the reports that you've given, and have a very nice holiday. And I want to say to the little brothers, Jonathan's brothers, they have been very attentive. And I know I'm not smarter than them. What grade you in?
Fifth grade. Fifth grade.
I'm not smarter than fifth grade. So thank you, Ms. Pittman.
Ms. Pittman.
Ms. Haney?
Ms. Pittman,
Well,
yes, ma'am.
I would be in trouble even for myself if I did not thank Bonnie Golson.
Yes, ma'am.
Bonnie thinks.
Of
She
everything.
thinks about stuff for us before we even know that we need it.
That's right.
It's true.
That's
Bonnie,
right.
you are a gem, and I would tell anybody, they don't know what they have until they miss you. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you've ever done for me and the board. And I wish you well.
Ms. Haney?
It has been an honor and, you know, to serve on this board and to be on the school board for my constituents for 4 years. And you're right, Mr. Haney was on there for 16 before
years.
me. And, you know, I really didn't understand everything that went on until I actually came and did it myself. And this group of school board members has been the absolute best to work with. We have all become so close, I think, and it is just an honor to work with them and to become friends with them. And I have all their cell phone numbers, and they're not getting away.
That's right. That's right.
But I just want to say we are blessed to have Dinwiddie schools here. The people, the principals, the staff, all the bus drivers, everybody works so hard for the kids. And we all do our very best. And this is a wonderful school system to be in. And I know Carly and lots of other people have graduated from Dinwiddie and come back, and it is absolutely amazing to see them all back here. And I love it, and it's just the best place in the world to live. But Bonnie, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have been a gem to work with and be here with. And Dr. Weston, we are blessed to have you here with us. We really, really appreciate all your hard work and everything that you do. So thank y'all. I'm going to miss you all. But like Miss Merritt said, I will be here if you need me. So call.
Kind of ditto. I'd like to thank all the parents, students, staff, administration, the board for all the support I've received over the last 4 years. I'm proud to serve District 1. Hopefully I represent them well. Just kind of like everyone else, you know, if you need anything, I'm here. You know, I won't be sitting at this chair, but I promise you I'll be out there. And I'll be out in the community talking as well. So just thanks for everybody.
Thank you. And I would like to say that I've worked with a lot of board members over the years, both as a teacher, superintendent, not superintendent, and that's the only job I didn't have in this.
You really do have that job.
Teachers and principals and boards that I worked with, but then I've been on this board. But I can truly tell you that this board, we don't agree on everything. But when we talk about it, we disagree. We treat each other with respect. We have a few moments that we'll have a laugh, but we respect each other and have worked so well together. And we hope that will continue, but we value that, and because it makes the work enjoyable. And I say the same thing about Bonnie. She anticipates what we need, and it's been wonderful. And Dr. Weston, we are so blessed to have you in our midst. Thank you.
So much. Appreciate it so much.
Superintendent's
I
comments.
just will say that Dr. Clay and I have been traveling around to the schools to just talk about being all in. You know, the governor's initiative is about grades 3 through 8. But in Dinwiddie County, when we talk about being all in, we talk about grades pre-K through 12. And we talk about it, you know, it doesn't matter to us if you're the teacher, the paraprofessional, you work in the cafeteria, you're driving the school bus. It's about being all in. And one of the things that Dr. Clay has reminded me about as we've traveled around is it's not about the title, it's about the towel, right? And I think that when I think about this board, I think about that. True servant leaders in this community. And then I get to work with true servant leaders every single day. We truly are very blessed in Dinwiddie County to have the people employed that work here because they are here for the right reasons. And so it's a pleasure to lead alongside a board like this. I'm just so grateful. And I'm so grateful for your wisdom and your support and all the things over the years. And I'm really grateful for the people that we all get to lead alongside every single day. And I look forward to working with the new board. Dr. Pearson's here this evening, and so she has a lot to look forward to in these next 4 years. It just truly is a great place to learn and to lead and to live. And so I'm just so very grateful for that.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any other comments, or if not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All right, all in favor, signify